the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But before they are deposited with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Madam Speaker, we can't go searching for them.
It was from cabinet. You mean you're not coordinated?
Madam Speaker,
Foreign Affairs?
Most obliged. Yes, we play a collective responsibility, but in this very law, if you look at ratification of treaties.
No, we are talking specifically on this agreement of Saudi Arabia and Uganda. It's about our children who are working there.
Yes, right, Honorable Speaker, there is something that is so controversial. Our young domesticated children were supposed to receive a certain cap of wages. And what happened, the Ministry of Gender or the Republic of Uganda entered into an agreement because there was a lot of hulabalu, you remember. There was a lot of talk about how they are being treated. And our girls, and we are saying it's good for them to go and work, but they are saying even the little monies they have been getting, someone is threatening to impose another collection of social security without them being aware. And some of them have already committed these funds. For example, some are buying land in Kamwenge, here and there, and all their funds has been committed to their salary loan schemes in order to put up some infrastructure at home. So at the end of the day, they don't know whether it's part of the agreement that was signed or not. The only way for us to know is for the Honorable Minister to coordinate with the Minister of Gender and present this agreement to us so that we can dissect it and represent our people aptly.
Can we have that agreement? Can you coordinate with the Minister of Gender and have that agreement on the floor?
Madam Speaker, I do agree. The role of coordination rests in Minister of Foreign Affairs. But sometimes, Madam Speaker,
I am giving you an instruction. Can we have the agreement on the floor? Can we have it on the floor?
I will.
And we want it tomorrow.
Madam Speaker, we shall write to the Minister of Gender. If they're here, they can also do that. Because we don't have it yet, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. It is very true that the government of Saudi wrote to us telling us that, but as we speak now, Right Honorable Speaker, we are in negotiations with them because we gave them our minimum wage. So, Right Honorable, maybe
what was there in the original? What was there in the original agreement?
Right Honorable Speaker, I was requesting that you allow us present this tomorrow. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bring it tomorrow and present it. Next.
Item 3.2, report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on its oversight visits to A, the Consulate of Uganda in Mombasa, B, the High Commission of Uganda in Nairobi, and C, the High Commission of Uganda in Dar es Salaam.
Honorable members, as I said before, this is also pursuant to Rule 34 of the Rules of Procedure, and the chair will only give brief notes on this, and he will deposit this to the library for you to get time and always make reference to it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to be able to present this report at the loan table, our findings when we went for the oversight visit. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, allow me present or lay on table reports on the Committee on Foreign Affairs on its oversight visit to the Consulate of Uganda in Mombasa, the High Commission of Uganda in Nairobi, and the High Commission of Uganda in Dar es Salaam. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay. Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate you as a Commission on Foreign Affairs for supporting us to execute our mandate in the missions, that 8 of them in number, and we've been able to move some of them, and we are here giving a number of reports. In accordance with Rule 33, Sub-Rule 1 of our Rules of Procedure, as I've indicated, I've laid the report on table. But also, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Rule 33, Sub-Rule 2 of the Rules of Procedure, I beg to represent a brief summary of the report and highlights of the key observations and recommendations contained in the report on oversight visit to the Uganda Consulate General in Mombasa, the Uganda High Commission in Nairobi, and the Uganda High Commission in Dar es Salaam. Honorable Speaker, as the committee, we had a number of terms of reference we're looking at, and among them, we had to establish the status of mission charters, to establish the status of missions infrastructure and their capacity to implement economic and commercial diplomacy. We also had to assess the staffing levels of foreign service officers and matters pertinent to human resource, and among others, also to examine relations between missions and Ugandan nationals living within their respective areas of jurisdiction. Honorable Speaker, many of these issues in our missions are cross-cutting, and therefore the observations and recommendations that we're coming up with in summary are also cross-cutting, and I want to be very brief. One of the issues we're looking at are the issue of property and property development. Uganda owns a number of properties in Mombasa, and Mombasa alone has got 23 properties which are managed by Uganda Property Holdings Limited. And a list of these properties, Madam Speaker, I would like to lay on table 23 properties that belong to the country or to our government, Uganda. In Nairobi, government of Uganda also owns Uganda House. It's a prime commercial structure located along Kenyatta Avenue in the central business district. I want to appreciate government for the money that have been extended to this mission this far. The renovation of Uganda House is going on, and I want to request government to complete the remaining monies that we can be able to fully complete it, because you know that we shall be able to increase our NTR if the structure is
Honorable
completed.
members, don't go. We have a bill, and you know, with the bill, we need a quorum. Kolu, come back.
Honorable Speaker, we are still on the issue of properties. Honorable members, you could be aware that we have a number of undeveloped plots in some of our missions. And as a country, we risk losing these very, very strategic plots. Therefore, important as a country, as Parliament, we appropriate funds to be able to develop these plots. It will be very important for us. And if we do not, it's going to be a very big embarrassment for us as a country. In Dar es Salaam alone, we've got an undeveloped plot, very prime indeed. Secondly, official residence of the High Commission was condemned, and therefore it's not being occupied, but we are having a lot of costs in trying to maintain it. It's as if it's also not being occupied, and fully aware that we are supposed to relocate Dodoma. This specific mission was not given monies for development. Therefore, important as Parliament, as a country, we try to appropriate funds to Dar es Salaam to enable us have a phased way of developing. The plot was given to us 2 acres of land by the government of Tanzania to prepare for relocation. Honorable Speaker, and economic and commercial diplomacy, the East African region remains a vital and strategic market for Uganda's exports, where Kenya and Uganda have been top trading partners for decades, despite some bilateral trade challenges. It is very unfortunate that some time back, Minister of Foreign Affairs and yet government came up with a project, and very key indeed in appropriating funds under ECD. The pilot project was 7 missions, but to date, even the 7 have been reduced to 5. Out of the 7 missions that have been getting ECD, only 5 got monies. And this was the mission in France, in Germany, Australia, Turkey, and Tanzania. We thought that would have been the interest of government to have a roll out of some of these activities. But to date, nothing has been done. on this very important activity. And yet we thought ECD would be like a cash cow on our missions abroad. And therefore, our missions abroad are grappling with limited funding for economic and commercial diplomacy. And while the Minister of Foreign Affairs highlighted the ECD as a major program activity for financial 2022-23, the committee has noted with great concern that that activity was not allocated funds, and hence all missions were struggling to sustain activities that were previously funded under ECD. It will become very difficult for us, Right Honourable Speaker, to have our missions engage with other host countries. How do we transact business if our own missions are not facilitated? On top of that, in our last budget, there was a total scrap of travel abroad. We're talking about foreign missions, 38 in them in number, are not being given travel abroad. What are we doing as a country? And how do we expect to, carry out ECD if our missions, heads of mission cannot be able to travel? It is something that this country, this parliament must consider very much.
Honorable members, the mission that we are saying is not facilitated is foreign, not local. Foreign missions.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for that emphasis. We've got 38 foreign missions in number. And some of these foreign missions have got bigger number of accreditation. For example, Nigeria has got 16 countries of accreditation. How does the High Commission of Nigeria, for example, go to all these without?
There is a procedure.
Madam Speaker, we invited the Chair of Foreign Affairs to present a report on Mombasa, Nairobi, and Dar es Salaam. She seems to be presenting a general report on all the missions, something she did when we were doing the policy statement.
She mentioned cross-cutting issues.
The procedure issue I am raising is whether now that presentation, other than the laying of the paper,
If you want to debate, I've said it's good for you for information. It's going to be in the library, and it is under Rule 34. It's according to the rule. She's just
that really needs our attention and concern, because it will be very important for us to get to understand what is going on in our missions. I would therefore implore all of us, go through these reports, that when it comes to the right time for maybe appropriation, we'll be able to understand that there is need for us to take serious actions. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. Ministry, the chair is funding. I was actually surprised that even Dubai, that is not funded. It's like milking a cow that you don't give milk. I mean water. That's what you're doing. How can you fail to fund a foreign mission? And yet these people are supposed to move from one country to the other. Dubai, where you're getting a lot of investors and you cannot fund Dubai, then there's a big problem. Yes, Okot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as the chairperson was making presentation and the brief thereafter, plus the cross-cutting issues, and we had been so attentive. Madam Speaker, would it not be procedural enough so that you give time for the report at a given moment, so that we talk deeply about it and give even other more recommendations from the House? Would it not be procedural enough?
We'll have time to debate on all the reports on foreign, from Committee of Foreign Affairs. Next item. Yes, Isaac.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know you'll give us time to debate this report, but I just thought that since the chair committee actually mentioned regarding a number of properties That's most of us here and even Ugandans watching do not know that actually as a country, we own these properties abroad. And now yes, the directive is that it to be only members of parliament to have this access to this in the library. I was just wondering whether we could actually have it on record for Ugandans out there, and even some of us for the properties to be actually mentioned on record here that we have abroad, so that we know, because some of them are being sold